Hello and welcome back to On The Shelf. So thanks for joining us again for another video. I have been away for a little while because there's been quite a lot going on. I actually recently got engaged, so there was a lot of planning that went into that, and yeah, so there is a Mrs. Shelf, I suppose now, or a Mrs. Shelf to be if you want. So because of that, because I've been actually kind of living my life and doing things outside of YouTube, I've not made a video in a little while, so although I promised that there would be more regular content, I think you can understand the reasoning for me not putting out a video. With that being said, I do want to kind of get back on track with YouTube and start putting out more videos, so if you're new to this channel and you've only just discovered it, then please hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification so that you can find out when all of my new videos go live. And of course, if you enjoy this video, then please hit that like button. So now that's all out of the way, I want to talk about the topic for today's video, and it's a little bit of a different one. So with all the collecting that I've done over the years, there's been a lot of series that I've picked up and tried out, and I tend to stick to a kind of a 3-volume rule. I give a series 3, maybe sometimes 4 volumes to see whether I like it, and if I don't, then ultimately I drop it, because it's such an expensive hobby. You don't have time to kind of waste on series that you don't particularly like or aren't really enjoying. So this series aims to look at manga series that I've unhauled or that I've dropped and why, and there'll be several episodes because I've collected manga for about 10 years and there's a lot of series over the years that I have decided to drop. And of course, with new series coming out all the time, I think that this is going to kind of be an ever-growing sort of series. So if you enjoy this sort of content, then please let me know down below in the comments. And without further ado, let's get straight to it. So disclaimer, we'll start off this video just by saying that any of these series that I have dropped doesn't necessarily make them bad. I aim to explain as to why I dropped them and why they weren't personally for me. I can see a lot of people hating on this series for one reason or another, purely because they feel particularly strongly about a manga that I said I've dropped. And the aim of this sort of video series, if you like, isn't to sway anyone's opinion as to whether they should buy a series or not. It's purely my opinion, and hopefully it'll stop people from asking me why I don't have particular manga series in my collection, because I can't collect everything and no one enjoys everything. So I just want to kind of shine a light on those series that I didn't enjoy and why. So the first one is a pretty old series. I'm not sure many people will have it in their collection, and Viz Media actually dropped the publishing of this series, so that was one of the reasons that I also wasn't too keen on kind of continuing to collect it, but also just because it didn't really vibe with me. So that is Hitman Reborn. So this was a really fun series in Shonen Jump that was about a mafia boss, or a mafia boss to be. It started off as a bit of a gag manga, so it was just a normal kind of high school student that was in love with a girl at school, and then out of nowhere a weird kind of baby shows up on his front doorstep and tells him that he's the heir to a mafia family and he needs to be trained in the ways of the mafia, if you like. The thing is, with me, I've always struggled with comedy manga. Sometimes they just don't hit the way that I think they should do, and there's some that'll definitely feature in later episodes that probably fit into this bracket as well. And I know that Hitman Reborn actually, it started off as a comedy manga and then later on it turns into a battle shonen. It completely changes direction, but I couldn't get past the first like 5 or 6 volumes to get to that point, and I just lost interest in it, to be honest. The second is a series that I think at the time that I started picking it up seemed to be a staple in everyone's collection. I was seeing volumes of it everywhere, it was in all of the shops, and it's still something that I know a lot of people really love, and it has a huge fan base, but it just didn't feel right to me, and I did give it 5 volumes, I think, and I never felt attached to any of the characters. So that is Black Butler. Now at face value, Black Butler sounds really interesting. There's kind of a young aristocrat who forms a contract with a demon butler, and I got a lot of sinister vibes from it when I first read that synopsis. I thought it would be really cool, I thought there'd be a lot of action in that, and there is some action, but a lot of it felt very shoujo to me. I think a lot of the male characters felt quite feminine, and I think that that was aimed to kind of appeal more to female audiences more than anyone else. That's not a bad thing, and there's a lot of value that I think people can find from Black Butler. I have friends who swear by it and still really love the series, and I think that it changes drastically as the series progresses. But as I said, you know, when I give a series that initial try, if it doesn't grab me from the get-go, then I'm not going to waste my money picking up any further volumes, and unfortunately that was Black Butler for me. I did also give the anime a fair try as well, but at the time I watched the dub, and I think that that was a huge mistake because some of the British accents in that were just abysmal. Like, they were really, really bad, and they really put me off the series, and I just think I didn't want to go back and rewatch episodes in sub either, so I just had a really bit of a slump with Black Butler that I just couldn't get past. The next series that I dropped was one that I actually did really enjoy for the most part, but I think because of the vast amount of shonen series that I actually have in my collection, this one just fell behind, and I didn't feel like collecting it at the time, and I definitely would like to revisit it. I'll perhaps see if I can get it digitally or if it's on the Shonen Jump app. I'm not sure, I haven't checked, but that is Magi or Magi. I don't really know how you pronounce it. This had a fantastic anime adaptation, and I watched the anime first before picking up the manga, which might have been my mistake. It's a retelling of a lot of different kind of fairy tales. They're all sort of mixed into one. You have Aladdin, Alibaba, as well as Sinbad. So it's a lot of things to take on, but with a really cool anime and manga twist on it. So Aladdin is what is known as a magi or a magi. I really hate that I don't know how to say that, but it's sort of like a wizard. He is guiding Alibaba on his journey, and there was things to do with like magic lamps and dungeons, and it was just a really nice and really fun fantasy series, and it was just really, really engaging, and I remember really enjoying it at the time. But yeah, it's a pretty vast series. There's like over 30 volumes, I think, and I know it is completed now, but when I was in university and college and I was collecting manga, money was really tight. And while I was already picking up, you know, Bleach and Naruto and all those things, Magi just didn't really take precedent over that, and I feel bad now for dropping that series. So if anyone has completed Magi and they enjoyed it, then please let me know in the comments. Is it worth checking out again? Because perhaps that's one that I might revisit again in the future. Okay, next I have two series, and I'm going to kind of group them together because I dropped them for similar reasons. So the first would be Durarara and the second would be Spice and Wolf. Both of these series I remember quite enjoying. They were mostly cover buys that I picked up at the time, so if anyone's got the Durarara manga, then they'll know that the covers were really different. They're really kind of cool. They had different glossy ones, matte ones, bright colours, and I felt like a kid in a sweet shop at the time, and I just wanted to pick up everything and anything, and I remember they caught my eye in Forbidden Planet, I think. Similarly with Spice and Wolf, they have really, really nice covers, and I got those, I think, as a gift from my friend from university, so hopefully he doesn't watch this because I feel pretty bad for selling them on, but I did read them, so at least that's something. But the reason that I dropped both of these series is because they're manga adaptations of light novels, but there's also an anime adaptation of both as well, and I think personally that I prefer the anime. So yeah, that's not to say that either of these are bad. If you enjoyed the stories, then I would recommend either or, because I remember them being very similar. So yeah, I'm not trying to hate on either of those series. They're both very good, but yeah, unfortunately for me, I just preferred the anime. The next series I dropped, I really loved initially, but then later on it became a bit of a chore, and that is Nisekoi False Love. I remember specifically collecting this at a time when I had so many series that all felt very similar. And Nisekoi False Love is like a love triangle comedy type series. It's a little bit of a harem, I guess. The main character has a locket, and he made a promise with a girl in his youth who owns the key to that locket that when they meet again, they will get married. And it was a little bit of a romance mystery about lots of different girls that he's sort of in these weird, awkward relationships with that he likes in different ways. And it was like him trying to find out who was the girl of the past that he made the promise to, but who does he actually really love as well at the same time. It was a little bit of a gag manga, so it was really funny, and like I said before, I don't always vibe with gag mangas, and this one was pretty good. But then at the same time, the harem aspects put me off a little bit, and it became a little bit predictable. Like as it went on, it got a little bit more confusing. They kept adding more secrets and more reasons to suspect one girl over the other. I got a little bit bored of the main character because in harems they become a little bit like just boring. They're not there to serve any purpose, they're just there to be the love interest, and he kind of fell into that category as well. He is like the heir to like a Yakuza family, and he runs into a blonde girl who is also the heir to a rival Yakuza family, and they pretend to be in a romantic relationship to stop their two families from going to war. And it was like a little bit of an awkward kind of situation between the two, where they're forced into these romantic situations that neither of them want to be in, but they kind of have to go along with it. And I did enjoy that initially, but yeah, as I said, later on there's more and more girls that get introduced. They all fight amongst each other, and they all like this really wooden main character, and I just got very bored with it. I wouldn't particularly recommend this series to anyone unless you're a huge fan of rom-coms. The final two series that I dropped that I want to talk about for this episode, I could potentially make an entire video just about those, because I think I have a lot of opinions on both, and I don't want this video to get too lengthy, so I'm gonna just be really blunt and to the point. So the first being My Hero Academia. This is a series that I've been quite vocal about, I think, for quite a while. I'm not trying to hate on it in particular, but just because I don't really understand the hype behind it. I think it came out at a time where superheroes are really huge in the media, and I never really got that. I never really got into the superhero genre, if you like. I did make an entire video about why I think My Hero Academia is popular, so if you want to know more of my opinions on this series, then I will link that video in this video as well. I picked this up because of the hype. I picked it up because everyone was really into it at the time, and I thought, oh, we need to check this out. This must be really good. And I enjoyed the initial premise of it, but I think that it's actually pretty standard. It's just standard shonen. There's very basic characters in it, and you know, there was even a tournament arc in it, and I was just like, I'm bored of this now. I think it might be my age, maybe. I'm at the point where I want to read something that's different or bring something different to the table. And I said that doesn't make My Hero Academia bad. I'm glad for what it's doing for manga and anime. I'm glad that it's bringing more and more fans in, and I see it as kind of like a new era of shonen. If you never grew up reading Naruto or reading Bleach and One Piece and things like that, and Dragon Ball even, if you go in further back, then My Hero Academia is doing that. It has that same effect for manga and anime now, so I'm really happy that it exists. But I just think it isn't for me. And yeah, that doesn't mean it's bad, it's just that I've read so much shonen that I'm at my wit's end with it now, really. And last but not least, I've seen a lot of people ask why this isn't in my collection, and I kind of want to just put a stop to it now and kind of say what I have to say and leave it there. So that is One Piece. I don't think that you can say that I didn't give One Piece a fair try. I read 33 volumes of it, which is a lot. Like, it is much more than the 3-volume rule for sure. And a lot of that I did enjoy. So I will say this, I think that there's a lot of value in One Piece. It gave me similar vibes to when I was a kid and I used to read the Beano, and it was like a weekly kind of what are they up to type series. I get the same sort of vibe as that from One Piece. That's not to say that it's like a cheap kind of old school English comic. It's more that it was like a which land will they end up in next, and what new and cool interesting characters will they encounter there. That is why One Piece feels so endless as well at the same time, because they can just keep going to somewhere new and keep going to a new different place until Oda gets bored and decides that the next place they go to they're going to find the One Piece. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of that infinite endless sort of story, and it's a good thing if you really enjoy it because there's a lot of content there, but I got a little bit restless with it and I wanted more direction. And I think after I'd read 30 odd volumes of it, I'd got a feel for what to expect. I reckon a lot of people are going to kick off about this now and they're going to tell me that the next 30 odd volumes are just totally different. And I know there's a bit of a time skip as well, but I just didn't care enough. I didn't think that Luffy was likable enough. So yeah, I always think that perhaps the main reason that I don't really love One Piece is just because I read it too late. I read it when I was quite a bit older. I'd already read a lot of manga as well, and it didn't add anything that I hadn't seen anywhere else. Although it does what it does very, very well, and if anyone was to ask me what series do I recommend for new beginners and things like that, I would say that One Piece is a good place to go. So that's all I really want to say about One Piece. If it makes anyone feel better, I actually gave away my entire One Piece collection to someone that I work with. Their daughter is really into manga, so I gave her all of my One Piece collection and all of My Hero Academia as well. So I felt like I was kind of doing my part to get someone else into manga, and I think that they're both very, very good new series for people who haven't read much manga before. So I will give you that, you know what I mean? But I don't want to say any more about One Piece. I'm not going to say anything negative about it because I feel very indifferent. So that about wraps it up for the very first episode in manga series that I dropped. There are more, obviously there's a lot more, but I don't want it to be too lengthy. And also I don't want this video to come off too negative. If I was to stand here for ages and just talk about why I didn't enjoy a particular series, then that's not sending off the vibe that I want. But if you enjoyed this video, then please let me know. You know, I wish there was more kind of feedback between me and the viewer on this channel, and although there's quite a lot of you that do comment, I think that I would like to make more effort to be a little bit more social, I suppose, and communicate wherever possible. Perhaps I'll look into doing some sort of live stream or Q&A in the future or something fun like that. Of course, thank you for all your support, and I will see you in the next video.